Hi everyone, so I'm going to go through the syllabus and these set of notes here, probably be broken up into a part 1 and part 2. Please make sure to follow these along dutifully. If you have not taken an online class before, this is so important to understand the responsibilities that come along with taking an online class. So this is Studies in Fiction. We're in our first summer session. This runs from May 20th through the end of June the 28th. I'm Professor Baker, obviously, if you haven't had me already, and my office on campus is Lawrence 317. You can find our mission statement on our syllabus here with my contact information underneath it. I will say email is the best way to reach me as it is summer and I'm not on campus every day, but email, and I also have online office hours through Canvas. During these times on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 12, also some time on Thursdays, and of course if those don't work at your schedule, we can find another time to use the chat function and to communicate online, live time if you need to. Aside from that, please make sure you're responding and checking your email all the time as much as possible, because that's really important, as well as checking Canvas. You can expect a response from me in about 24 hours. I check my email pretty often. This is your syllabus. This is your guide. This is sort of your contract for what you should expect from the class. It has the responsibilities that I have to you and you have to me in the class and facilitating and taking the course. Of course, we might need to adjust some dates or adjust some of the material as we go through based on your interests and the pacing of our class. So that's why being in contact is so very, very important for this class. The only book you need is the 40 Short Stories, a portable anthology, the 5th edition by Beverly Lawn. This is not negotiable. You need the book for the class. You can rent it. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it in our school bookstore, as well as other sites. I know Barnes & Noble has it. And it's not a terribly expensive book. I will provide you for the materials for the first week. However, you need to have the book for, the corresponding page numbers and the readings after that too. This is a really fun class because we're going to look at all the different techniques and the types of fiction writing, and we really look at a variety of short stories in here, some excerpts from novels, and even some film, which is really fun. And we mostly focus on American and British short stories from the 19th and 20th centuries. It's an important class. You're going to be introduced to a lot of literary, culture, and gender studies. You want to look and be linking different literary analysis techniques and look at key American and British authors and their stories. And more importantly, of course, because this is a writing and reading based class, we'll learn analysis and argument and research skills, and we can apply those in a lot of different disciplines. That is why discussion, group work, research-based writing, and digital projects are really important in this class too. By the end of the class, you'll be able to identify and explain and compare and contrast a lot of the foundations of a lot of American and British short stories and other types of literature. I'm hoping that a lot of these stories are ones that you haven't read and they'll be a little bit new to you, or even if you're coming back to some of them, it's always good to revisit them later on with a different understanding. You will also critically read and engage these texts and authors, so take it from a basic level of understanding into more scholarly. And you'll learn and apply different terminology and context to our present day and understanding, and look at the roles that some of these stories play in the foundation of our literature too. Now, as I mentioned, this course is conducted entirely online, so all of our interactions will take place online. All assignments, all materials will be submitted online. We are using Canvas. This is the online learning system that we used this past semester at Rosemont College. If you have any difficulties, if something goes wrong with Canvas, I'll be sure to alert you by email. But otherwise, Canvas is the way that this course is facilitated. All work, anything you submit to my email address will be deleted. All work has to go through Canvas. We also use Turnitin, which gets submitted through Canvas as well for any paper writing. It is very important that you have access to a computer. Sometimes the app on a smartphone or tablet doesn't always work properly, and especially when submitting assignments, I will say make sure you are on a computer. If it's an issue, please let me know so we can work on that too. The other things you'll need to be successful, making sure that Canvas opens in your web browser. You should have access to a camera and microphone. This can totally be on your phone. You can always export it and then import it onto Canvas. You're going to want to have the latest version of Adobe to open some of the files, and of course Microsoft Word, which you can use in a lot of different capacities, and you have. So as I mentioned too, we'll be using Turnitin to submit all of our papers on Canvas. Any changes in the schedule, assignments, everything is communicated through the course website, and also then that goes right to your email address too. Any questions of a personal nature, any emergencies, grade questions, please, anything that needs to be communicated privately, please email me about. There are 3 ways to look for different answers to questions in this class. Even before you email me, always check your syllabus. Always look at the announcements and the directions in Canvas, and always check out what is called a water cooler discussion board. It's one of the first things you'll see on our site, and it's just a general place where there's some questions that perhaps other people have asked too, and that's a good place to look for information. Because this class is online, obviously you need to be present, and absences aren't really, since you're not coming face to face. However, not doing the work, not logging in on a timely basis counts for absences. For an online class, I will stress this enough, you should be checking in at minimum 3 to 4 times a week, but surely you should be checking in at least once a day, if not, once or twice a day too. That does not mean you have work due every day, but you should still be checking in. We abide by all standards of academic integrity. Anything violating academic integrity cannot be tolerated. Any academic dishonesty, plagiarism, anything like that, of course. Any cheating will result in 0 on the work, letter grade deductions, and obviously then a possible failure of the class. I do not take any late assignments. Nothing. Except something maybe a very extraordinary circumstance. All assignments are given weeks in advance. This is a fast-paced online summer class, so your work should be focused on these next couple weeks in here. I do not take anything late, and that is a policy I adhere to in all of my classes. So please, please, please keep that in mind. And when you're thinking about studying in prep, a 3-credit course requires about 135 hours of student work, so you should be expected to be spending about a minimum at least of 10 to 12 hours a week participating in this. Should you need any support on campus, of course, the Dean of Students is available, Student Academic Support Services, the Counseling Services, and the Wellness Center. If you have any accommodations that you need to let me know about, please make sure they're on file with the Dean's office so they can communicate that with me as well. And you can also communicate any circumstances and arrangements that need to be made. The Student Academic Support Services are available throughout the summertime. They readily have different tutors in there of all subject matters, so I would encourage you, if you're having any difficulty and you're local or you need to get in touch with them, to please let me know. No recording of anything is absolutely not tolerated. If you have any concerns, please let me know directly before the class keeps going on. I hope we have no inclement weather over the summertime, just beautiful weather for you all to enjoy. So I mentioned in terms of submitting assignments, everything goes onto Canvas unless otherwise designated. Your grading breakdown for this class revolves around a lot of reading, writing, and of course digital work. So we'll be starting off with papers of several different lengths here, with also some digital components to them. So this does not mean it's fully 6 to 8 pages of writing. It has some digital projects with it. Same thing with your final paper. It's broken up sort of in half. You can see logging in, using the discussion forum, participating. And I will say participating in discussion forums does not just mean answering a question and responding. We will be doing video and audio responses to the group, which is also a little bit more interactive and fun. We're a small class, so that makes it easy. That makes it easier for us to do. There will be some small group projects, possibly quizzes and graded responses and surveys for you to take. And as I mentioned, I try to divide the grades up pretty evenly. I take no late assignments unless of a dire emergency, or you've spoken to me about something coming up at least 2 weeks in advance. You can find our grading scale here, which is really important to kind of keep in mind. And before I go on to part 2 of the notes, I'll talk about our discussion forum. This is the place that takes the space of where we facilitate and have class conversation online. You interact with myself and other students here, you ask questions, you share your ideas, you learn through conversation, you get feedback on projects. I post questions on the reading, and not only do you respond to my questions, but you engage in conversation with your peers. Sometimes this means typing out a response, and as I mentioned, sometimes this means recording a response, or other types of ways. That is why it is very important to always read the directions on them. What helps you be successful in participating in this discussion board? You must respond by the designated time. So your responses to my questions and prompts and quizzes are always due by Thursdays and Fridays, and they'll always have a due date on them. So you have enough time during the week to always work on that. However, you must be engaging in conversation with your peers, and you have to reply each week to everyone in the class. There's only about 4 or 5 of us. These must be completed by Saturdays. You can always think of Sunday as your off day. Nothing is ever due on a Sunday. But in order to have a successful conversation or a successful response, your paragraphs have to be at least, well focused. Your responses should be grammatically correct. When you are speaking or recording yourself, you should be eloquent, you should be on topic, and it's totally fine to have notes in front of you or talking points, but you should very much so be as active as possible in participating. That will give you the most participation points, which holds a big part of your grade. All of the posts will close at designated times, so you can't go back and add in comments unless I was to go in and reopen them. So you must make sure that, you're adhering to those sort of guidelines. You are allowed to miss 1 week of a response peer comment, but after that, because our class is so short and we have only minimal weeks in here, points will be deducted, and I will let you know when you've missed one. These are the grading charts that I use in here as well. What would constitute as an A level in terms of looking at the discussion forum, you're always prepared, you log in on time, you engage in conversation, you ask good questions, you connect materials, you really make sure that you really make sure that you just understand the importance of engaging in conversation. So that's also really important. Grammatically correct, you're focused on the actual assignment, and like I said, sometimes it takes 1 or 2 of these to just sort of try your hand at them, because it's taking that classroom discussion and putting it online. And you can see the different levels of how I would grade the discussion posts in there. What I have found to be really successful, checking your Rosemont email every day, logging into Canvas, and I love the website remind.com. It helps you set reminders to log into the class and review your materials, and I just think that's really important. So I'm going to start the rest of the notes in part 2 just to go over our schedule briefly, and we should get you set for the class.